Want to talk to you guys today about Kylotus. Kylotus is our Exarch, and our Exarch is what we call the monk, basically. Okay? And I want to talk to you about some of Kylotus' abilities. If you haven't seen, we have a short that gives you an introduction to that. I'll try to put a link to that on the screen here. But the core feature that Kylotus is built around is something called Control Weapon, and that's located right here. So this blue symbol is action points. On your turn, you have 5. E means exposure. So this is basically something that lowers your defenses. So when you want to try to control someone's weapon, it costs you 2 of your 5 action points, and you gain a point of exposure. And if you succeed, you'll have a control weapon effect. And that control weapon effect is this CW right here. So this is the core of the Exarch. What does this mean? Well, control weapon means control the weapon arm. And so if you successfully perform this action, let's say, Kylotus is an elven Exarch. Let's say he's fighting an orc raider. And the orc raider goes to attack him. Kylotus dodges. As a reaction to that attack, he does control weapon. He succeeds. So he now has the orc raider's weapon arm controlled. And that orc raider cannot use that weapon again until he gets that arm free. So we've taken a very control style of martial arts here. So if he gets that control weapon effect, he can now do any of these things that say CW next to them. He's enabled to doing those. And unlike some other games in which you've got to do A before you can do B, and that just never really works, we've done 16 playtests now with the Exarch. And every time someone plays them, they're like, wow, this is great. It just works. So let's look at some of these options. You control the orc raider's arm. You can knee him. That actually doesn't cost you any action points. It's a freebie to getting the effect done. And that person would then gain, the target would gain exposure, and they would lose an accuracy -1 on their next roll. You could try to do a disabling strike. Well, what does that mean? Well, you've got the weapon arm controlled now, and what you're going to do is basically try to break their arm. And if you succeed on the disabling strike, you inflict an injury on future actions until they get rid of the effect. And if you critically succeed, you break the limb, making it unusable. Right? So you see the Exarch here isn't about, hacking and slashing with weapons to cut people up or punching 3 or 4 times to try to hurt them. They're about controlling what their opponent can do. So if you grab the orc raider's arm and you break it, they can have a ton of hit points left, or what we call wounds. But they can't attack you anymore because their arm is broken. Another one they can do is called jackal weapon. That's basically steel weapon. Throw person. So once you've got the weapon arm controlled, you can throw them. And you'll notice next to control person, or the symbol's a little bit different here. This back and forth arrow actually means it's an action or a reaction. And throw person, in that kind of purplish text, can be done as an action or a reaction. So you could control weapon someone, grab a hold of them, and then throw them, and it's not even your turn. Right? Or you could grab them on your turn, hold them. As the battlefield is changing and you've still got them under control, you decide you're going to throw them later. Once you've got control weapon, you can try to convert this into what we call control person. Control person is basically you've got the weapon arm controlled, and now you're twisting it behind their back, and you're now controlling their person and making them do what you want them to do. Control person's a lot harder to get out of, right? It's a pretty challenging thing. And when at conventions, when we're playing, people have never played before, so we do all the math for you. Everything's outlined for you. You don't need to worry about it. Once you understand this, you can actually grab the dice pretty quickly on your character sheet. But we do all those things for you, and then we tell you what it targets and what it's after, that kind of thing, just to make it that much easier to run. So once you've got a control person in effect, what can you do then? Well, at that point, you can now do the kind of big strike, which is mortal strike. So this is, you've got their arm twisted behind their back. They're totally vulnerable. So you try to break their neck, right? You try to do something terrible to them. Now, if you've seen our other videos, you realize that you can take wounds that are light wounds, medium wounds, or severe wounds. And when you take a severe wound, there's a chance that you could die. And so a mortal strike is applying damage directly to severe wounds, bypassing the light wounds and the medium wounds. When you take a severe wound, you also get wound penalties. And so this severe wound that you've inflicted will make it harder for that person, even if they get away from you, to do anything else. Another thing you could do is once you've got them under control person, you can pin them. And a pinned person basically can't do anything. So if you've ever played a game, you're like, I want to grab this guy and hold him down to make sure he can't get away, and been frustrated that the game is really only built for you to hit them with your sword, here is a way around that. Okay? The most exciting part, however, I have to say, is the last one. That is meat shield. This is the effect that people just love. So what is meat shield? Well, if I'm controlling the weapon arm, I can swing you around, not super effectively, but I can swing you around and use you as a human, or in this case, orc shield. And if I successfully use you to block me getting hit, the damage that would have been applied to me is now applied to the shield, aka the orc raider. And so people love this ability. They, say goblin charges them, they grab the goblin, they spin him around, and they use him as a shield for all the other goblin attacks coming in. And people they have a blast with this one. That feels so cool, and it's unlike something you can do in other cases. Now, if you don't just have a control weapon, you have control person, meat shield is even more effective. And you can basically turn this person around and use them almost like you were carrying a shield. It's really effective, and people have a lot of fun with it. We also have a really robust grappling system in this, right? So what I'm talking about here is Marete. That's a martial arts form only known to the Exarchs and the Viziers. Grappling and other types of wrestling combat are known more widely. And technically, control weapon isn't a grapple, but it counts as a grapple, and you can do anything that anyone who was grappling could do. Right? We're trying to kind of flatten the game. Instead of saying, here's 50 abilities that all work one way, but they don't interact with these. We're like, look, control weapon is close enough to a grapple, that is, holding on to someone, that you can do anything you do otherwise. So we put the rules there for grappling in case you want to be able to do that. But like one thing you can do with grapple is restraining someone, right? And so that's almost like putting them in a half Nelson or full Nelson, trying to make it so they can't go somewhere. You could also slam the person against the wall and inflict damage there. Or if there's a pedestal or something like that. So you grab them, you've got control weapon, and there's a pedestal there, swing around and hit the pedestal, directly inflicting damage to that person because they've hit the pedestal. Now, when we were playing at Marmalade Dog, we had one fella that showed up to play with us, and he was having so much fun, he just kind of giggled the entire time. And he looks up at me and he goes, wait a minute, is this guy I'm fighting, can I slam him into that guy? And that never occurred to me. And I said, sure, I don't see why not. If you can slam one person into a pedestal, you can slam him into another person. So he did. So he grabbed this guy, he slammed him into another person, they both took damage. Not a ton of damage, but they took some damage. And then the guy he slammed him into tried to hit him with a sword, and he brought the guy around as a meat shield, blocking the blow. And then he slammed him back into that guy again, basically bludgeoning these two combatants into submission. And he just laughed the entire time he was doing it, and it worked great. You could also take someone down. You could headbutt them. Think about this. How many times have you seen in some fantasy movie two people fighting, duking it out, and like they start headbutting each other, right? Now, it's not always clear what the point of the headbutt is, but it looks cool. And so here we have headbutting as a system where if you're grappling or controlling weapon, you can headbutt somebody and you get a chance of dazing them. And they get a chance of dazing you, so it's a little bit risky. We also have a hamstring ability, and this isn't literally cutting the hamstring. This is really more striking the leg and slowing down your movement. Shoving and pulling, tackling, tripling, all of these things are built in and assumed something you're going to do as the Exarch. And we see almost all of these effects in play when we do the Maw. So if you get a chance, you see us at a convention, and you see Escape the Maw, come check us out. I think you'd really like the Exarch. What are some of the other abilities the Exarch can do? Well, one of them is to defend others. So let's say you're holding that Orc Raider, and you're standing next to your emissary, your priest, your kind of soft, squishy character. And that person's getting attacked. Well, you can try to bring your meat shield around and defend them as well, right? And there are rules for that. Another one thing you can do that we just love in this game is called swap. This is open to any combatants. And that is basically your emissary standing behind you and someone's charging him, and you like quickly go, whoa, whoa, get behind me, and you two swap position, and you're now the subject of the attack. And this sort of movement that is happening when it's not your turn, red means reaction. This movement that's happening when it's not your turn leads to this very dynamic battlefield in which all the tokens are constantly moving and being rearranged, and battle is just fun. So let's talk about a few more of what we call domain abilities. Okay, so as I mentioned, nope, everybody has that. Another one that the Exarch has, because the Exarch is part of an archetype known as a Vanguard, is recover. And that is, you can spend 2 of your daring, and this is again a limited resource. You start the game with about 5 to 7, depending how you build your character. And so spending 2 of those gives you back 4 action points, basically letting you take another turn. But you're not restricted on what you can do with those action points. If you have them, you can do whatever you want, right? So unlike in D&D where you're like, oh, I'm going to take another action. Well, it's like, well, it has to be an attack action. You have to do this with it. Our game is built and balanced around the idea that you can take these actions as often as you want, as long as you can afford them, and it doesn't feel like someone's going spam, 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 spam. It has always felt unique. It has always felt different, and it has just been a lot of fun. There are some other effects that Kylotus has. For example, muscle memory. He can gain +2 on any Marete action. And this is usable after the roll. So like you're close to succeeding, and you're like, you know what? My character's got muscle memory. He knows how to make that happen. Boom, there you go. Wind walking is another one. This one's kind of an oh shit button. So wind walking lets you move up to your stride distance and lose 2 exposure. And again, what's exposure? Think of it like something that adds and subtracts from your armor class. Right, there are a lot of rules to Invictus. However, what I keep hearing from people, and I really enjoy this, I keep hearing that the game feels intuitive. Once people get it, they're like, oh, of course that's how it works. So, it's going to take us a little while to figure out how to present this well and how to make it clear to everybody about what we're doing. But we hope that you subscribe to the channel. If you really want to know more, please come join us on the Discord channel. We'd love to talk to you. We'd love to show you the rules as we get them going. In January, we're going to be putting out scenarios that you can download and run yourself at home. However, we're also going to run the scenarios on our channel so that you can see what we think they're supposed to look like. So we hope that you become a part of that. We hope that you come see us and see what you're doing. And even if you don't want to play this game, I'm a firm believer in hacking whatever game you're playing. So take these ideas, hack your home game. But there's a price. You have to tell me it was fun. Or it sucked, like whatever. Please, I want to know. If these ideas work, I want you to come tell me. Because I want to know what, I want to know this is matters. I want to know that it means something. So if this works for you, please, please come and tell me. Because I'd love to know. Please remember to like and subscribe. Right, we're a small channel. Most people will not like or subscribe a small channel. It's not clear why. I have a farmer's market story that you might enjoy. Hope to see you again soon. Goodbye for now.